Powerboats are also part of the Tewkesbury scene, and have been ever since the practical genius of a man with the familiar, but in this context unlikely name of Bill Shakespeare began to build boats here. He died young, tragically, at the wheel of one of his own boats, but not before the name Shakespeare had begun to be known in powerboat circles, and denoting something very different from the 16th century playwriting upriver from Tewkesbury at Stratford-on-Avon. Today, powerboats are still handmade in this old town. The know-how, the skill, the willingness to take time and trouble live on. And the story of how these exciting watercraft take shape in the factory is an interesting one. It begins with the building of the plug, as the men in the business call it. This plug is a full-size, three-dimensional model of the shape and contours of the finished article. Two are needed in this case, one for the hull, the other for the deck. What we are seeing now is the painstaking work to produce the plug deck section. It involves layer upon layer of paintwork, brushed upon the original woodwork, which itself had been smoothed down again and again with great care. Glass-like finish to the final coat is of tremendous importance because that will become the surface against which the first mould for the deck section will be built up. There must be no pitting of any sort, no impurities causing pimples, however small, on the surface. Finally, it is satisfactory, and the mould, also handmade of glass fibre and specialized resins, can begin to be built up layer on layer on the plug. In due time, the plug and the mould must be separated, which is a critical task because the mould must come away without distortion of any kind. To make sure of this, a wooden cradle is made, which, when ready, is lifted onto the mould and secured to it. It follows that when the mould is split carefully from the plug, this cradle will act as a kind of table on which the mould can be set down on the workshop floor for minute examination.
Can you start the front? Yeah. Oh yeah, can you come around the side of the boat? Walk around the side of the boat. We'll walk through with you. Can you come? Right? Go down.
smoothed down to a high finish. The importance of this will be easily understood when one remembers that this is the master mould from which the succession of new deck sections will be made.
Brush it.
Here can be seen the layers of fiberglass being brushed down onto the mould. The first deck section is now in the making. In the meantime, similar things have been going on in respect of the hull section. Like the deck section, it is made of fiberglass. Finally, the time comes for both sections to be lifted out from their respective moulds. First, the hull is withdrawn and set down onto a cradle. Then, the deck section is brought out in a similar way. The second is laid upon the first, not unlike the two halves of a hollow chocolate Easter egg. Speedboat is soon ready for the fitting of steering gear, windscreen, seating, carpets, trim, and instrumentation. Pristine, glossy showroom product only now needs the addition of a suitable engine, as it is wheeled out to be loaded onto the transporter and conveyed to the dealers. If the prospective customer prefers it, loaded onto a trailer behind his car and driven away. And so the daydreams in which customers indulge can become reality. It wasn't Bill Shakespeare of Stratford who said, "A thing of beauty is a joy forever," but Keats. Bill Shakespeare of Tewkesbury might, if he were still alive today, agree that so far as the powerboats which bear his name are concerned, that old dictum is still true.